Title: After 30 years with husband, I was tired of marriage and wanted only freedom to try taste of another man. I opened my marriage and now regret about it. Begging husband to take me back, but he vanished. I realized he was gone when the house stopped listening. The refrigerator hum was louder than my pulse. His mug sat by the sink, clean, dry, untouched. No note, no apology, no goodbye. 30 years of marriage, and he left like a professional. No fingerprints, no shadows, no echoes. I stood there with my phone in my hand, my last message still glowing. Please come back, I made a mistake. That was the moment the truth sharpened. Not when he agreed to open our marriage, not when I tasted the thrill of freedom and mistook it for life, not even when regret climbed into my throat and refused to leave. The truth arrived when silence did, when he vanished and the house exhaled him like it had been waiting. I had betrayed him first. I won't pretend otherwise. 30 years is a long time to become a routine. We were gentle together, predictable, loyal. We grew old side by side, not noticing how the days sanded us smooth. I loved him, I still do, but love can calcify, and I wanted to feel sharp again. I told myself honesty would save us. I told him I wanted freedom, just a taste of another life, another man. Not graphic, not reckless, controlled, safe. A door cracked open, not blown off its hinges. He listened, he nodded, he asked questions that sounded like concern. He said, "If this is what you need, I won't cage you." His voice didn't shake. That should have frightened me. The man I chose was younger, attentive, practiced in listening the way mirrors listen. He reflected me back to myself, with edits. Compliments where my husband had silence, touches where routine had settled. I thought I was brave. I thought I was evolving. I didn't see the line forming behind me, quiet and patient, waiting for its turn to cut. My husband grew lighter, kinder. He cooked more. He smiled with his eyes closed. He told me to take my time. He told me he trusted me. Trust is a blade when it's sharpened correctly. Then the newness rotted. The other man asked questions that weren't his to ask. He wanted timelines, accounts, details. I ended it cleanly. I came home shaking and begged my husband to take me back. I said the words like a confession in a church with no priest. He held me. He said we'd talk in the morning. Morning came without him. At first I panicked. I called hospitals, friends, airports, his sister. Nothing. His phone rang into the void. His email bounced. The bank app asked me to log in and didn't recognize my face. That was the second truth. The first had been silence. The second was precision. I stopped crying. I sat down. I reviewed the marriage like a crime scene. The past year lit up with clues I had dismissed as kindness. The new joint account he insisted on, the updated will, the sudden interest in my lover's name, my schedule, my receipts, the weekend trips he encouraged me to take, the way he photographed our documents for safekeeping. He hadn't forgiven me. He had documented me. I found the file 3 days later hidden behind a cloud login he forgot to remove from the tablet. PDFs, dates, messages, photos. Not of me with another man, of me agreeing to it. Consent recorded, boundaries defined. My idea, my words, my signature. He had turned my confession into a shield. The next file was a legal separation agreement, unsigned by me, immaculate, ready. He'd moved money through companies I didn't know existed. He hadn't stolen, he had rearranged, left me solvent enough to survive, guilty enough to keep quiet. He vanished not to punish me loudly, but to erase me quietly. I understood then this wasn't abandonment, it was choreography. So I planned. I hired a forensic accountant and told her nothing about feelings. I gave her facts. I hired a private investigator who specialized in men who believed they were invisible. I archived everything. I learned how to sit in a room and say nothing while people talked themselves into traps. The lover came first. He had been introduced to my life by me, but he had stayed for reasons that had nothing to do with affection. He'd been feeding my husband information, paid in cash, anonymity, and the illusion of intelligence. I invited him for coffee, public place, cameras. I slid a folder across the table. His texts, the wire transfers, his lies highlighted in yellow like a school book. I didn't raise my voice. I told him he had two choices: testify or disappear with a reputation that would follow him like a scent. He chose to talk. My husband came next. He hadn't gone far. He was living under a different name, not to escape the law, but to enjoy the quiet of victory. He believed the story was finished. I let him believe it longer. I let the evidence mature. I let the court calendar open. The confrontation wasn't dramatic. No shouting, no tears. We met in a room with glass walls and polite chairs. I placed the testimony on the table. I placed the timeline beside it. I placed the clause he'd overlooked: marital fiduciary duty breached by concealment. His eyes flickered, just once. "You taught me to plan," I said. "I just learned faster." The separation was voided. The assets were frozen, then divided properly. His alias dissolved under legal light. His reputation, so carefully preserved, developed cracks. Friends asked questions. Silence turned on him the way it had turned on me. He didn't beg. He looked tired. He had mistaken control for closure. Now the house listens again. I walk through rooms without flinching. I sleep without rehearsing apologies. I carry my regret without letting it drive. I don't pretend I was innocent. I was reckless with a good man's trust. But betrayal is not a monopoly. He chose disappearance. I chose presence. Justice isn't loud. It's exact. I didn't chase him back. I didn't ask to be forgiven. I took my name, my future, and the narrative he tried to bury. Freedom, I learned, isn't the absence of walls. It's the ownership of the door. He vanished. I remained.